This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
We are back with Sabrina Clark, and she's our dog trainer and career coach based out of Honolulu, Hawaii. Well, please introduce yourself to everyone.
So how
Tell us
have
a
you
little bit
been?
about your background. I'm good. Can't complain. I'm happy.
Okay.
Kids are good. How are the animals? How are your pets doing?
Everything is great. It is lovely weather here in Honolulu, Hawaii, and we are enjoying a lot of time outside. My name is Sabrina Clark. I have a dog training business called Balanced Obedience, and I have a nonprofit called the World Dog Foundation. And that's my big focus. And the mission statement is helping dogs, helping people. So raising service dogs is my passion, but also helping dogs in need is part of our program. And so we do train some rescue dogs, and then we also raise dogs for those who need a psychiatric service dog. And so I just placed my best dog yesterday. It was so sweet. My
Aw.
group training was off the hook. I had like 20 people in the room. It's not that big of a studio, and it was just a really great day yesterday. So I'm hoping today will be just as lovely. And I love what I do. I've been training dogs since 1986. And I founded Balanced Obedience in 2008. And all I do full time is train dogs. And I have volunteers from our local high school of autistic children that help me. And I also work with the Wounded Warriors. And I was a little late getting on the phone today because somebody from the Veterans Administration was calling me about
Ah,
providing service dogs. So I apologize for my tardiness, but I got carried away in that conversation.
it happens.
So,
No worries. You got to do your thing, and
yeah,
you're helping your babies. That's
yeah,
most important.
yeah,
I
it
was at my
is.
sister's last night for my niece's birthday party. I have to just tell you the story. And my son was on the couch with the dog, Ella. I told you about my sister's dog. And I walked over, started growl. She started growling at me. My brother was like, "Stay away." My sister's like, "She bit me last week." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Guys, didn't I tell you?" He's like, "Yeah, we need a dog trainer here." I was like, "I know." I'm like, "I told your wife, my sister." I said, my friend, I said that I do the podcast with. I'm like, she's a trainer. I'm like, she told me to put the leash on it, right? And the moment she growls, what are we supposed to do? Could you just remind my family because I'm going to show them this?
Well, it's better if the dog has the leash on ahead of time because if you try to,
Exactly. That's what I mean. Yes, yes. Go
yeah,
ahead.
because if you don't have the leash on them and they're agitated and they're growling, I mean, they're warning you. They're saying, "Hey, I'm prepared to bite." That's just like someone saying, "Hey, I'm prepared to fight." And so you have to respect that growl, but then you have to back up and be like, "Oh, how did we get here? What's causing the growling? What can I do to mitigate the growling?" And so the easiest thing to do is have safe control over the dog, right? And so having a drag leash or leash on the dog at all times, especially when there's people visiting, is highly recommended. And then you need to do leash training where the dog is compliant on the leash and knows how to heel and how to sit and how to stay and how to down and how to stay and how to leave it and not jump up and not bark on command. And those are all standard obedience commands that people have been teaching dogs for probably tens of thousands of years. Like it's been around for a long time. And so you just don't want to give your dog's ego like free reign of your house because that's where you can get into trouble because they take control. Some dogs, not
Yeah.
all dogs. Some dogs you can spoil, give them all the free reign in the world, and they're going to be fine. But then the dogs that aren't like that just aren't like that, and you have to act accordingly. So they're not being safe with that dog growling. I mean, you could always just put it in another room and keep it away from the others. I tell people, think you can think of your dog as like a crocodile. So you could have a pet crocodile, and the crocodile likes you, but you're not going to let your neighbors pet the crocodile or old ladies or little kids pet the crocodile, right? So if your dog's acting like a crocodile, you have to start acting appropriately, and train that dog so it's not a crocodile anymore, or treat it like a crocodile and keep it separate, which I'm not a fan of.
Got it. And yes, they have to keep the leash on before I get there. Thank you for the reminder. And then from there, they would take the dog outside the moment it starts growling, right? And show its place, right? How do I say
Yeah.
it?
Well, basically, you could do a behavior sequence where if the dog is growling at a newcomer, you could shake that newcomer's hand and then take that odor to your dog's nose. And basically, by commingling the odors, the dog is recognizing, like, oh, this individual's been in touch with my handler, my owner, my person, right? And so that builds trust. But
Yeah.
if the dog continues to say, like, hey, you visitor, I don't like you, I'm growling at you, then what you could do is have the handler just take that dog outside, evict the dog from the home. So now the new person's in the territory and the dog has been evicted, and then bring the dog back in, it's going to have like a new perception. It's like, oh, that worked the total opposite of what I wanted. I wanted that new person to go away, not me go away. And so you do that reverse psychology on them a handful of times, and a lot of times that will abate that really bossy behavior. Now, it won't fix the underlying issue of socialization and trust and obedience, and there's like all different kinds of things that are below that. But that one technique, sometimes you do it enough and the problem will just go away altogether.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. What else did you want to talk about today?
Yeah.
Sorry, I had to start with that because it was fresh on my mind from
Oh,
last
that's
night.
okay. No, that's all good. Well, last time we talked a little bit about common problems people have with, barking and separation anxiety. We talked about crate training a little bit. And today I wanted to just talk about obedience training because it's been around for a long time. And in a way, it's kind of changed a lot. So if I wanted to back up and say like positive dog training kind of got its roots in dolphin training. And so obviously with the dolphin, you can't put a leash on it. And so, there's a lot of scientific study about how you can break behaviors down into little incremental pieces and you can mold each one and get the desired outcome. And that would be kind of like a psychological basis. And there's a lot of really interesting studies out there, and there's a lot of talented trainers. A lot of times you need to mark each of those incremental pieces with some kind of a noise. So for the dolphin, you would whistle, and
Yeah.
for the human working with the dog, the clickers were positive training tools for a long time. They're still out there, but a lot of people don't click
Okay.
quick enough. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so just think of like the dolphin, like you whistle, but you can say yes, and you
Yeah.
can mark that behavior with a yes. And so then you would associate the yes with a treat or the whistle with a treat. For the dolphin, it'd be a fish. For the dog, it could be whatever treat. And then you can, really build up. I myself don't enjoy training that way. I feel like you're really getting into the dog's stomach and not in their mind so much. And you can
Okay.
create these neural pathways with that type of training where it becomes automatic and you are
Yeah.
training the dog. So I'm not saying that that method does not work. In my years of experience, though, I find that a lot of people don't do it right. So it's really you have to mark that behavior at exactly the right moment, and then to what phase off of the treat and maintain total obedience is tricky. A lot of dogs will be smelling you, and if you don't have treats on you, they're all of a sudden not so interested. And that's kind of the same as if you were paying your child an Oreo cookie to do every math problem. And then maybe in the beginning, your kid's like, oh, yeah, I'm doing keys. And they're like, I don't want to do any more math, mom. My stomach is sick. Right. So with the treat training, like some dogs literally get full. Sometimes you're taking away the food bowl and you're just feeding kibble instead. I feed all my dogs just out of a bowl, and I don't like being a vending machine. I don't like the feel of the dog taking the food from my hand. It's never been alluring to me. I used to show dogs where you use bait to get them to present their body in a fashionable way for the judge to look at their confirmation. And I understood the need for food at that time, but I just feel for obedience training, you really don't need it. So I'm a fan of just motivating the dog with love. And so now instead of in their stomach, I feel like I'm in their heart. And so then that heart connection is really where we're building eye contact and trust and more of a deeper relationship. So instead of the dog looking at me saying, cookie, 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 the dog is looking at me like, I love you, and it's like a totally different relationship. So I just feel like it doesn't matter what motivator you're using for training. Shock collars are also very popular. It would be like a technology that you can like barely vibrate and the dog will feel like a sensation, and then they'll know that they're being told to do something. And I feel like it's a good tool for hunting dogs and police dogs because you're trying to basically tap that dog on the neck, maybe a quarter mile away from you. And it's a great tool. But all those dogs go through serious
Yeah.
obedience training before you put those on. So I feel like to put that type of collar on a dog that's not leash trained and obedience trained can leave room for confusion. Again, humans don't mark the behaviors in time. And then when you take that collar off the dog, they know they're not wearing it. So they're
Yeah.
going to look at you like, I'm not so sure, And a lot of people are like, oh, I put the collar on, the dog's good. I take the collar off, the dog isn't good. And so that dog's not really trained. You haven't really formed that obedience, right? The word obedience is kind of heavy. You think the military, where you're told a command and then you execute that command. And that's why I started calling my my board and train, the doggy boot camp. I think I was one of the first people to ever call it that, beginning in 2008, because really we're teaching command and follow through. And so basically you have two kinds of motivators. Well, three. You could be neutral, and then you have a positive motivator or a negative motivator. And so they have like this whole chart where they talk about that. I think people get so confused on that. So I don't talk about that at all. I try to make just like real life analogies where the average person can be like, oh, I get that. So again, obedience training, there's lots of paths to get there. But then the ultimate path is the dog is consistent with distractions. So you could put your dog in a downstay in the middle of the shopping mall and walk out of sight for like a minute, and you have all this stuff going on around it, and it's not going to get up. Like that's obedience. And so how do you get there? You have to really put in the time. There's no easy fix. People think like, oh, I could just train this puppy and it's going to be trained. And that's not true. Like you have to train the puppy and you have to continually train the dog. Like they need that relationship. So you need to just make obedience like part of how you interact with your dog all the time.
Yeah.
Because if not, you end up with all these sad stories of dogs in shelters and rehomes and worse because they have behavior issues that could have been stopped at the right time. So your
Interesting.
your family's dog growling at visitors, if it jumps off the couch and bits somebody on a face, what's going to happen?
Exactly. Well, my sister says I'm not going to show you the bite marks on my leg under my pants because then you'll make me get rid of her. I'm like, this happened last week. I'm like, what is going on? Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's a big deal. And and dog bites, I mean, they're germy, they take a while to heal. If there's anyone listening who's dealing with dog bites, I think grapefruit seed extract, they sell it at the health food store. Amazing. Like you just put that goop in there and it like the skin just grows back. It's amazing. So anyone with wounds, and you can use it on dogs too. Super non-toxic, super phenomenal. So tell your sister to get some grapefruit seed extract. Anyhow, yeah, it's a real thing. And people die by dog bites every year in the United States and probably worldwide, and so they can kill us, even though not many do. But it's the ones that start learning that they can bite is where it goes. It's not the dog that kills just out of the blue. It does happen, but a lot of those dogs that end up doing something so egregious did learn how to bite people, and the people recoil like if your sister got bit and oh my gosh, and she ran away,
Yeah.
then the dog's like, oh, I get pressured. I don't like this situation, or I'm angry at that dog, and now I'm doing displaced aggression where really I'm like all this anger and frustration going at that dog. I got the leash on, boom, and they turn on the handler. And so that's really dangerous because you can get bit in the arm, you can get bit in the leg. If your hand gets bit, you may not be able to type anymore. And then you'd be like technically unable to work efficiently the rest of your life just because you didn't train the dog right, or you have a dog that's not a good fit for your situation. So this is
Got
a
it.
doodle, right? Your sister's dog?
Yeah. Yes, help me out. It's a doodle. It's supposed to be a small doodle. What are they called?
Golden doodle,
Golden
Bernedoodle.
doodle, but it turned out to be big. Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, small. I mean, yeah, Goldens are kind of big. You have a 60-pound dog, anyway, if you cross it with a 20-pound dog, you do the math. So 60 plus 20 is 80, divided by 2 is 40. And usually you can add 10% for boys, so 44 pounds, and take away 10% for girls, so 36 pounds. So that's a mini golden doodle. So then they have to really breed that down one more time with another mini poodle F1B to make it teeny tiny. So is it three-quarter poodle or one half poodle?
I think it's a half, I think.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So it's a decent sized dog. And those can be a little troublesome because poodles were originally bred in Germany. So poodle was German for puddle, so puddle dog.
Oh,
So they're
okay.
they're a hunting dog for men
Ah,
to go out hunting. And then
yeah.
the French took on the breed and made them very stylish. And they are so French. They're just glorious. So that's why they became the French poodle and not the puddle, right? And so, but the origin is a pretty tough dog. And the Germans also bred the Doberman. The Doberman was bred by this tax collector with the same last name. And he was also running a pound. And so he had access to all these dogs. And he created a breed that would
Oh,
go,
wow.
and they used to call it the Doberman Pinscher, and they would bite just enough for you to pay your taxes. Is that
Oh,
hilarious?
gosh. Yes,
And
it
so
is.
the Germans were amazing at breeding dogs. In all of Europe, they bred some fantastic breeds. And studying the history of dog breeding and breeds in general, I think is one of my favorite things. So Anyhow, the poodles by nature though are very aloof. They're intelligent and they're not easy to control. If a poodle doesn't want to listen to you,
Yeah.
uh they're very stubborn. So when you cross it with the golden retriever, you can sometimes get that aloofness pulling hard. And then the Goldens are generally super friendly. They're usually like the nicest dogs, but they can be kind of tough too. And this is a girl dog.
Yes, she is. Ella. I always say he, I'm sorry, but it's a she.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And she's spayed.
Yes, only I told you they waited a while. We just got that done a few months ago.
Okay, but that's not as big of a deal for the girl dogs as it is the boy dogs.
Okay.
Male on male aggression is one of the things you definitely fix with neutering, which is why they call it like fixing your dog.
Yeah. Okay.
But with the girl dogs, not it doesn't it does help. They just tone them down a little bit, and they don't have the sex drive, which will help in the long run. But the overall temperament doesn't change so abruptly with females as it does with males. And how old is she?
She's I guess three and a half.
Okay, so she's mature now. We're out of the puppy phase.
Yes.
And so now she's kind of owning the house. So I think they need to work on thresholds. They make sure that she always goes to the door last. That would be like one of the first things I would say to them. If they haven't crate trained her, they should, just because they could put her instead of in a laundry room in something a little smaller and more secure if they have a
Yeah.
party. Because what happens with the laundry, like, you put a dog, say, we'll put him in the pantry. Pantry. This is the best pantry in the world with music and AC, and it's so nice,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you're like, oh, I'm having a party. I'm gonna put the dog in the pantry. So everyone's safe. But then someone's like, oh shoot, I need the cheese whiz in the pantry. And they open the pantry and the
Uh-huh.
dog goes rushing out and whatever, right? And so that's why rooms aren't as good as kennels, because your neighbor's not gonna go and open your dog's kennel,
Yeah.
but they could
Yeah.
accidentally open the door that's holding the dog, right?
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
those are two things that would be a great start. And then they just need to work with somebody like you, though, and have strangers come in and out, people you can trust who aren't going to sue you if something goes wrong,
So
and
true.
start desensitizing, and then they should maybe look at getting a trainer. And I don't care if that trainer uses treats or e-collars, but think of hiring a dog trainer as kind of like hiring a personal trainer.
Yeah.
Right? Do you want someone who's going to be like all into Pilates or yoga or running or weightlifting? Like they're all going to get you more fit, but you kind of have to choose from the beginning what is going to help you on your path and works for you. So I also say like choosing a doctor is like kind of choosing a family doctor. It's got to be someone you jive with. So meet a few of them and find one that really like fits you.
I like
For
that.
those listening and they can't find a trainer, I do have some online courses where I teach all my basics of running a doggy boot camp at home. So maybe we could share that with your sister. She could get started with that.
I
I think
love
that
it.
would be really good, don't you? And
Absolutely.
then we could get some feedback on what's entailed with just doing your own doggy boot camp at home. It saves a lot of money. I have 50% off for all your listeners with the discount code BALANCED.
Yay. Thank
Hey,
you.
I know, so nice.
And how do we contact
But
you, sweetheart?
it's on my website. It's after the word balanced and then obedience, OBEDIENCE.com. And the World Dog Foundation is a nonprofit. We're looking for donations, and it's worlddogfoundation.org. And
Perfect.
we're going to be upgrading our programs for both of these to be offering career coaching. So I have a free
Yay.
canine career coaching course. So anyone listening that's interested, like, oh, wow, I was listening to this dog trainer. It sounds so interesting. Sounds like a fun way to have a living. And it
Right? It sure
is. And
does, right?
you could run a business out of your home. You could live many years working from home, taking care of dogs, helping people, um, and just making life good. I got the most exquisite text this morning. I'm going to read it to you all. It
Go
made me
ahead.
so happy. And this is a nice um showing of what it's like to do this work. Like once you get where you have mastery. So this gentleman writes, Dear Sabrina, I want to thank you for the subtle and intuitive way that you introduced Melanie and Lala to one another at your training session yesterday evening. It was
Aw.
a beautiful thing to witness. You are definitely operating on a deeper plane of awareness and interconnectedness than
Mm-hmm.
most of us human beings. You're
Wow.
not just a dog whisperer, you're a human whisperer as well. They say the end is in the beginning. You took advantage of yesterday's context to initiate a mutual relationship of trust and respect between these two beings. I can't begin to tell you how much I think Melanie's relationship with Lala will further Mel's inner development and maturity. Mel is obviously over the moon. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And so I placed my own best personal dog with this young lady last night, and it was just absolutely moving.
Oh,
And I'm gonna go start working with her today in her neighborhood and making that relationship become one. So it's very fulfilling work. So if anyone out there is interested in learning more, we're going to be doing some retreats here in beautiful Hawaii later in the
aw,
year. So
thank
I
you.
know you're welcome.
All right. Thank you so much. Pleasure having you here as always. And hopefully we'll have more time next week. Thank you for all your help. Sabrina Clark, we appreciate you. And
Okay,
good luck with the babies. I know you got to go back to work. It's morning for
I
you,
do.
right? Evening for us.
Yeah. Have a great night. And thank you again. You're so sweet.
You are too. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay.
Bye
Okay.
bye.
Bye.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.